The Silent Watchers. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly around the massive Vorthan warship as it glided silently through the cosmic void. Commander Zixtal stood on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, his four arms crossed behind his back as he studied the holographic display floating before him. The blue-skinned alien's large black eyes reflected the swirling colors of the star map, showing the steady expansion of the Vorthan Empire across this spiral arm of the galaxy. "Report, Navigator Thellums," Zixtal commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 worlds in the name of the Empire. The smaller Vorthan at the navigation console turned toward his commander, bowing his head slightly. "Sir, we are approaching the system designated as Target 48. Our long-range scans confirm the presence of a yellow star with multiple planetary bodies. The third planet shows signs of water and atmosphere." Zixtal nodded with satisfaction. In the past 50 cycles, the Vorthan Empire had grown from a single world to a sprawling dominion spanning 47 star systems. Every species they had encountered had fallen before their superior technology and military might. Some surrendered immediately upon seeing their ships. Others put up brief resistance before being overwhelmed. None had ever posed a real challenge. "Any signs of advanced civilization?" the commander asked, though he already knew the answer. Their scouts had been monitoring this system for months, and the reports were always the same. "Negative, sir. The inhabitants appear to be in the early stages of industrial development. We detect primitive radio transmissions and basic chemical propulsion. No evidence of faster-than-light travel or energy weapons. Standard primitive world classification." Zixtal smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Another easy conquest to add to his record. The beings on this world would probably worship their ships as divine vessels when they arrived. It was almost too simple. What Zixtal didn't know was that at the very edge of his sensor range, hidden among the asteroids of the outer system, Captain Sarah Chen was watching every move the Vorthan fleet made. Her observation post, disguised as a lifeless chunk of rock, contained some of the most advanced surveillance equipment humanity had ever built. Sarah had been stationed at Deep Space Monitor Station, Alpha 7, for 3 years, part of a network of hidden outposts that formed humanity's early warning system. The station was cramped, with barely enough room for 2 people, but it was completely invisible to alien sensors. Her partner, Dr. Marcus Webb, hunched over his instruments in the station's tiny laboratory section. "Sarah, you need to see this," Marcus called out, his voice tight with concern. "I've been analyzing their ship's energy signatures. These aren't explorers or traders. This is a military fleet, and they're not here for peaceful contact." Sarah moved to Marcus's workstation, her heart racing. They had been preparing for this day for 37 years, ever since the first alien probe had been detected entering the solar system. That probe had been destroyed by a carefully placed asteroid collision, made to look like an accident. But Earth's governments had learned a crucial lesson that day. Humanity was not alone, and the galaxy might not be friendly. "How many ships?" Sarah asked, studying the data streams on Marcus's screen. 12 heavy cruisers, 36 support vessels, and what looks like a command dreadnought. This isn't a scouting mission, Sarah. This is an invasion fleet. Sarah activated her encrypted communication system, sending a priority signal toward Earth. The message would take hours to reach its destination, but every second counted now. She had trained for this moment her entire adult life, and now it was time to prove that humanity's patient preparation would pay off. On Earth, in a bunker complex buried 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Maria Rodriguez received Sarah's transmission. The general had iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many wars, but this was different from any conflict she had ever prepared for. This was about the survival of the human species. "Activate Protocol Omega," she commanded her staff. "All deep space assets are to maintain silent running. Begin Phase 1 positioning." Across the solar system, Things that had appeared to be natural objects for decades suddenly came alive with purpose. Hidden bases inside hollowed-out asteroids powered up their systems. Camouflaged ships that had been floating dead in space for years began their silent approach to predetermined coordinates. Defense platforms disguised as space debris started charging their weapons. For 37 years, humanity had been building the most elaborate deception in its history. Every alien probe that entered the system saw exactly what humans wanted them to see: a backward world with primitive technology and no spacefaring capability. The real cities were underground or underwater. The real technology was hidden behind advanced stealth systems. The real fleet was scattered throughout the solar system, waiting. Commander Zixtal's fleet moved deeper into the system, completely unaware that they were being watched by dozens of hidden sensors. Every ship movement was tracked, every communication intercepted and decoded. Humanity had been studying Vorthan technology for decades, ever since recovering pieces of that first probe. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked frantically in her laboratory beneath Geneva, analyzing the latest intelligence data. She had spent 15 years reverse engineering alien technology, combining it with human innovations to create weapons and defenses the Vorthans had never encountered. Her team had developed new forms of propulsion, energy shields that could absorb and redirect alien weapons, and most importantly, cloaking technology that made human ships completely invisible to Vorthan sensors. General Rodriguez, Elena reported over the secure channel, "Our analysis confirms that Vorthan technology is advanced but standardized. They haven't faced real opposition in so long that they've become predictable. Their ships are powerful but not innovative. They're using the same weapon systems they've had for centuries." The general nodded grimly. "And our advantages? We're smaller, faster, and more adaptable. Our ships can appear and disappear at will. Most importantly, they have no idea what human tactical thinking is capable of. They expect surrender or simple resistance. They're not prepared for the kind of asymmetric warfare we've been planning." As the Vorthan fleet approached the outer planets, Commander Zixtal was pleased with what his sensors showed him. The system was rich in resources, and the third planet would make an excellent addition to the Empire. The primitive inhabitants would be relocated to designated areas, while Vorthan colonists claimed the best territories. "Communications Officer Veldar, prepare a standard surrender demand," Zixtal commanded. "Inform the inhabitants that the Vorthan Empire has claimed this system. They will submit to our authority or face the consequences." But as the communication was being prepared, something strange happened. The alien fleet's sensors began picking up unusual readings from throughout the system. Energy signatures that didn't match their profiles of primitive technology. Movement patterns that suggested coordination rather than random orbital mechanics. "Commander," Navigator Thelungs called out, confusion evident in his voice, "I'm detecting anomalous readings from multiple locations. These don't match our intelligence reports." Zixtal studied the new data with growing concern. For the first time since entering the system, he felt a flicker of uncertainty. The readings were subtle, almost hidden, but they suggested a level of technology that shouldn't exist on a primitive world. Meanwhile, throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden forces continued their careful positioning. Ships that had been disguised as asteroids for decades slowly moved into attack formations. Weapons platforms that had never been detected powered up for the first time. Commanders who had trained their entire careers for this single battle reviewed their final orders. Captain Sarah Chen watched from her hidden observation post as the alien fleet spread out into what they probably thought was a standard invasion formation. She smiled grimly as she realized that the Vorthans were positioning themselves exactly where humanity's battle planners had hoped they would. "Marcus," she said to her partner, "send the final confirmation to Earth. Tell them the trap is set and the prey has taken the bait." The message raced toward Earth at the speed of light, carrying 3 simple words that would change the course of human history. "Thunder is ready." General Rodriguez received the message in her command bunker and felt the weight of 37 years of preparation settling on her shoulders. Around her, Hundreds of officers and technicians waited for the order that would reveal humanity's greatest secret to the galaxy. She opened a channel to every human military unit in the solar system, from the hidden bases in the asteroid belt to the camouflaged defense platforms orbiting Earth itself. This is General Rodriguez to all units. Today, the galaxy learns that humanity is not alone, and we are not helpless. Today, we show them what happens when they underestimate the children of Earth. All units, prepare for Operation Thunderstrike. On my mark, we remind the universe that humans fight back. As the Vorthan fleet moved into the inner system, confident in their superiority and planning for an easy conquest, they had no idea that they were flying into the most carefully prepared ambush in galactic history. The humans they thought were primitive had been watching, learning, and preparing for this moment for nearly 4 decades. The thunder was about to begin. Thunder from the void. The Vorthan command ship Empire's Wrath dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system with Admiral Kexpar standing proudly on its bridge. At twice the size of Commander Zixfel's ship, it was a floating fortress that had broken the resistance of dozens of worlds. The Admiral's scared face and missing left arm told the story of his rise through the ranks of the Vorthan military. Status report. Admiral Kexfar demanded as he surveyed the tactical displays showing the positions of his fleet. Sir, Commander Zixtel's advance force is in position around the 3rd planet, reported his tactical officer. The inhabitants have not responded to our surrender demands. Scans still show only primitive technology, but the commander reports some unusual energy readings. Kexfar dismissed the concern with a wave of his remaining hand. Probably their power grids failing in panic. I've seen it before. When primitive species first see our ships, their simple technology often overloads from fear. He studied the tactical display showing Earth as a small blue dot surrounded by his forces. Begin the demonstration. Destroy one of their orbital installations to show them our power. But as the Admiral's fleet moved into attack formation, space around them suddenly exploded into chaos. What had appeared to be empty void moments before was now filled with human warships materializing from nowhere, their sleek forms appearing like ghosts becoming solid. Lieutenant Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the human battleship Thunderbolt, watching as her cloaking systems disengage. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, years of training finally being put to the ultimate test. All weapons online, reported her weapons officer. Target locks acquired on the Vorthan command ship. Communications, broadcast our message on all frequencies. Elena commanded. Throughout the Vorthan fleet, alien crew members stared in shock as a human voice spoke in perfect Vorthan through their communication systems. Attention Vorthan fleet, this is the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our system with hostile intent and threatened our world. You will withdraw immediately or face the consequences. This is your only warning. Admiral Kexfar's eyes went wide as he realized that not only could these supposedly primitive creatures speak his language fluently, but they had appeared with a fleet that matched his own in numbers. Impossible, he hissed. Our intelligence reports showed no spacefaring capability. Commander Zixfel's voice crackled through the communication system from his ship near Earth. Sir, I count over 200 human vessels appearing throughout the system. They're using some form of advanced cloaking technology we've never encountered. The Admiral's tactical officer looked up from his instruments, his blue skin pale with shock. Sir, their ships are not showing up on any of our targeting systems. Even with visual contact, our weapons cannot lock onto them. What the Vorthans didn't know was that Professor James Nakamura had spent 20 years developing humanity's stealth technology. Working from fragments of that first alien probe, he had created a defensive system that bent electromagnetic radiation around human ships, making them invisible to alien sensors while allowing human crews to see everything around them perfectly. Admiral, Professor Nakamura said calmly from his position in the Earth Defense Command Center, watching the battle unfold on multiple screens. Their targeting systems are based on energy signature detection. Our ships are designed to absorb and redirect their sensor suites. To their instruments, we simply don't exist." General Rodriguez nodded with satisfaction as she watched the Vorthan fleet's confusion. "Begin Phase 2. Show them what human innovation can do." Throughout the solar system, human ships began their attack runs, but this wasn't the kind of massive fleet engagement the Vorthans expected. Instead, human vessels darted in and out of weapons range like a swarm of angry insects, striking at the alien ship's weak points before disappearing again. Captain Sarah Chen had left her observation post and was now piloting one of humanity's newest fighter craft. The small ship was barely 50 feet long, but it carried weapons that could punch through Vorthan armor like paper. She rolled her fighter between the weapon turrets of a Vorthan cruiser, targeting the ship's engine section. Admiral Kexbar watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled by an enemy that fought unlike anything he had ever encountered. Return fire. Destroy these insects. But the Vorthan weapons, designed for fighting other large ships, couldn't track the fast-moving human vessels. When they did manage to hit a human ship, they discovered another unpleasant surprise. The human vessel's shields didn't just absorb energy. They stored it and redirected it back at their attackers. Dr. Elena Vasquez smiled as she watched Vorthan energy beams being absorbed by her ship's defensive systems. All power to forward weapons. Let's return their energy with interest. The Thunderbolt unleashed a barrage that combined Vorthan energy with human innovation, creating a weapon more powerful than anything either species had developed alone. The blast tore through the shields of a Vorthan destroyer, leaving it floating dead in space. Commander Zixtal's ship shook violently as human fighters swarmed around it like angry wasps. How is this possible? These creatures were supposed to be primitive. They're using technology we don't even understand. The answer came from an unexpected source, hidden in the ship's lower levels, where the Vorthans kept their collection of artifacts from conquered worlds. A human prisoner named Dr. Robert Kim had been working for 3 years as a translator. But unlike the Vorthans thought, Robert had been learning far more than just languages. Robert activated a communication device he had built from salvaged parts, broadcasting to the human fleet on a frequency the Vorthans couldn't detect. "This is Dr. Kim aboard the Vorthan command ship. I have full access to their computer systems, sending you their shield frequencies and weapon patterns now." Throughout the human fleet, this intelligence was received and instantly distributed. Suddenly, human weapons became even more effective as they adapted to exploit every weakness in Vorthan technology. Admiral Kexvar realized with growing panic that his supposedly easy conquest had turned into a disaster. His fleet was being torn apart by an enemy that seemed to know his every move before he made it. "All ships, full retreat. We must regroup and—" But his order was cut short as space around the Vorthan fleet suddenly filled with what looked like artificial lightning. Human ships had surrounded the alien vessels and were now using a new weapon that the Vorthans had never imagined possible. Professor Nakamura's voice explained calmly to General Rodriguez what was happening. "We call it the Thunder Net. By coordinating the energy output of multiple ships, we can create a localized electromagnetic storm that overloads alien systems without destroying the ships themselves." The Vorthan fleet found itself trapped in a web of crackling energy that shut down their engines, weapons, and communications. For the first time in their expansion across the galaxy, the mighty Vorthan Empire was completely helpless. Elena Vasquez opened a communication channel to the trapped fleet. "Admiral Kexvar, this is Lieutenant Commander Vasquez of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is now disabled. You have 2 choices: surrender and face trial for your crimes against peaceful species, or we can demonstrate what happens when humans really get angry." From the command center on Earth, General Rodriguez added her own message. "For 37 years, we have watched you conquer world after world. We have studied your methods, learned your weaknesses, and prepared for this day. You thought Earth was silent and helpless. You were wrong." Admiral Kexbar, trapped on his powerless ship with his fleet disabled around him, finally understood the truth. These humans had been watching and planning for decades. They had allowed the Vorthans to believe they were primitive, while secretly developing technology that surpassed even the Empire's greatest achievements. Dr. Robert Kim's voice came through the alien ship's communication system one final time. "Admiral, the humans are offering you something your Empire has never offered its victims. A choice. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated with the mercy you never showed others. Continue to resist and face the full power of humanity's wrath." As disabled Vorthan ships floated helplessly in space, surrounded by the thunder and lightning of human technology, Admiral Kexvar realized that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had announced its presence, not with words or diplomacy, but with a demonstration of power that would echo throughout the stars. Captain Sarah Chen piloted her fighter in a slow circle around the trapped Vorthan fleet, her communication channel open to her fellow humans. This is for every species that couldn't fight back. This is for every world that fell because no one was there to help them. Today, the galaxy learns that humanity stands for those who cannot stand for themselves. The thunder had spoken, and the universe was listening. The age of unchallenged Vorthan expansion was over. The age of humanity had begun. General Rodriguez looked out at the stars from her command center and smiled. 37 years of patience, preparation, and sacrifice had paid off. Earth was safe, humanity had proven itself, and the galaxy would never again mistake human silence for weakness. The thunder from the skies had delivered its message, and the message was clear. Humanity had arrived.